slow, late breaking. There we go. All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Sorry for the delay. We all had some technical difficulties that we were working through, but we're glad to be able to be on here to share from the topic of beautifully blended. I have two beautiful queens on here with me today. Lady Mia from Walk by Faith Ministries, and then, the NAS very own Sister Signy.
Hey.
So I'm going to have them introduce themselves, just kind of give us a little bit background as far as like how your families made up, who blended who where, just so people just have a better understanding of everything. And then we'll move forward from there. So who wants to go first? Rock, paper, scissors.
Right.
Okay, go ahead, Signy.
Hi, I'm Signy Green. I'm married to Gonzia Green. We have 5 children. He has 3, I have 2. We have 5.
Okay.
So, I have 2 girls. He has 2 girls and a boy. It was kind of natural for me in the beginning until I had to deal with them other people that had them children. But we blended it together. My husband can talk, Gandia can talk to or greet all of any man that has been in my life that has given me a child. They embrace when they meet each other. The women, on the other hand, the mamas, it's not as easy, but it's good. They all grown, out of the house, running their own families, and
you
the
said you want some
majority
more
of
kids. You want me to send some more your way? Because I got 2 of them in the house. If you want.
love you, Lily. Move on.
Okay, carry on. I just want. It's fine. Go ahead.
No, I'm done.
My shot.
No.
Okay. Sister Mia, Lady Mia. I'm sorry.
That is okay. I am Lady Mia from Walk by Faith Ministries, married to Damon Dorsey.
The birthday
We
boy.
have,
Happy birthday.
and we're still celebrating too. So
That's
we have a total of 5. I have 1. He has 3, and then we have a bonus child that neither one of us gave birth to, but God blessed us with.
Awesome.
Amen.
So, yeah, it has been a very interesting road. Started off a little rocky, but I think we're all in a good place now. So I can't wait to dig into talking about how we get from a rocky place to a good place, and just talk about some of the things that happen along the way, and hopefully whatever I say today can bless someone with, coming along this blended family journey.
Awesome sauce. Awesome sauce. So I have one icebreaker question because I want to spend the majority of our time just kind of diving into this topic. If you could appear in one reality show, which one would you choose?
Ooh.
I'm gonna go first to let y'all think. I would definitely, probably, more than likely choose Housewives of Atlanta. 1, because I love Atlanta. 2, because they give me like a ratchet side that I feel like I never got in my life, but I got in my spirit. So I think like that would just be perfect for me. The traveling, going abroad, all that good stuff, that would just be perfect for me. And just wilding out. That's me. So I would definitely love to be on Housewives, and that is my favorite one is Atlanta. So what about you guys?
Master Chef.
That's a good one.
That's a good one. That's a real good one. Lady Mia.
Can you cook?
Oh,
yes.
You can throw that.
I cook, honey.
Okay.
Yeah, she cook.
All right.
Okay.
I don't know for me. Ooh, that's a good one. So I like people watching.
Okay.
And so I would do wife swap.
Oh, that would be
Just
interesting.
because it would be interesting, and I would like to see how the inside of another family works.
Right. That's a good
That would
one.
be interesting. That would be
And
interesting.
my second would be Love and Hip Hop. I'm a rapper. No, I'm just joking.
Not a rapper. Oh, well, Pastor Name is turned into a DJ now, so like y'all can go on the road with this. Like, what's your rapper name? What's your rapper name?
I don't even know, child.
You gotta think about that because y'all could really y'all could
I'm
do
no
some
rapper. I'm no rapper at all, but I do like the ratchetness of it because I don't have that in my life. So it's like
exactly.
You know, they look like they have a good time from time to time.
Right. I got that.
Agree. Totally agree. All right. So one thing before we jump in, of course, everybody by now has heard. It's like the shots around the world about the gathering on August the 29th and the 30th. Just an opportunity. Yes, I'm excited. I actually got the vision right before the pandemic. And then once the pandemic hit, it was like, we're not doing that. But I just wanted a safe place for women to just come together, to grow together, because there is a negative connotation to the fact of women being in the same room, especially Black women being in the same room, that we messy, that we catty, that we don't do nothing but fight. We probably do all of that, but there are chances and opportunities where we are able to genuinely love and support each other. And a lot of women I've noticed are so damaged by women that they're not open to things like the gathering. Like I've had a lot of close friends and family be like, you know, I don't like women. Like I don't bang with them too heavy. All of my friends are guy friends, but they're open to just being in a safe environment to just grow, like not to be petty, not to compare, not to be envious or jealous, but even still dealing with like, why do you feel the way that you feel about your sister? So that's just a cool opportunity. I'm going to play the promo video and then we're going to jump into the conversation.
All right.
I'm super excited about that. Some of the ladies
and
that you
super
saw,
proud of you for being able to put it all together.
Oh, thanks.
Yes.
I comes up with some ideas, and I came upstairs and I was like, Brittany, mommy, this is what I want to do, so let's do it. And they like, excuse me, pardon me. And they even passed the people was like, you can't do like small, simple stuff. Like you always gotta like do the most. But it's for
you gotta go hard.
Yeah, like who wants to just have dinner at the house with like 4 people? Like that ain't it. That's not the move. So I'm definitely excited about that. And we do have Chef Kevin Underdew that will be cooking for us. Those are some of his dishes. He has his own company, Dinner for Two Catering, where he does cooking class, virtual cooking classes, in-person cooking classes. He does private dinners. He does major events. Pretty much anything that we've ever had for the last 5 or so years, Kevin has done. He did past his anniversary each time, so his food is amazing. So we definitely are looking forward to that. All right, so get into the fact that I will be drinking a juice box throughout the duration. Don't judge me. It makes me happy, so that's just where we are today. So one of the questions that, well, first of all, let's just define the fact that a blended family is, for people who don't know, is when you or your partner or spouse come into the relationship with children that you did not have together. And somehow you have to blend everybody involved together. And you have to ensure that no one feels slighted, nobody feels like a stepchild. My grandfather would always say, I don't have any stepchildren. The only steps I have are the steps in my house. So even with me, like my family is completely blended on both my mother and my father's side. So we just blended. That's just how we do. And honestly, it's common in our community. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. I think if it's done properly and in a healthy manner, I think it's beautiful. I think it's amazing that you can love another person's child as your own. It takes a special type of individual to do that. And so we just want to jump into that conversation. Just kind of getting into the nitty gritty. What was one of the challenges that you all had when so point blank period. You all are both married. So you both came into your marriage with children that weren't with your spouse, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Just wanted to be clear for those that were watching. So what were some of the challenges or I guess the nervousness, if you had any, about knowing that now I have to blend two families together?
So I'll go first. For me, I didn't think that there would be any challenges. I don't know why. Because you are putting together two different families. Our kids were so young at the time. Okay. I didn't think that there would be any challenges. I was like, this will be a smooth transition. I think the major challenge for both of us was the outside parents.
Okay.
So that was the biggest issue. Both of us leaving relationships on bad terms.
Okay.
So both of those parents not really wanting to work with us, not being available, just different issues with each one, feeling like, oh, okay, I'm going to pull completely back. I'm just not going to be there. Or I want to give you the toughest time ever with this transition, just because I can.
Okay.
So I would say that was probably the toughest part.
Okay. See,
I would have to say all of that.
Okay.
All of it. And let's go forward, because I mean, it gets better.
Mm-hmm.
It's not easy. And then I think the challenge for me was not to get my panties in a bunch. Because I treated my bonus children as my own, and I'm the other person. Okay. And with, I want my children to be able to have another woman that they can talk to, can go to, and I'm not there. And that's who I need to be to mine. And I was, but like Lady Mia said, the children weren't the problem. It was the other parents. So that's what we had to overcome.
So with blending the two, did you both have expressed that the kids weren't really the problem? Did the kids have any issues blending together with one another?
No. Not
at all.
They were put in a position.
Experience much.
But what Signe, what'd you say?
I said no. The only problem with that was the other parent telling them not to.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
But other than that, they just did them.
Okay. Lady Mia, you were saying?
Yeah, I agree. I think that the only thing that I experienced, I think with girls, it's a little tougher time. Boys are pretty easy. Um, whatever their dad wants to do, they're kind of okay with that. Girls, because they have such a tight relationship with their father,
Mm-hmm.
it tends to kind of make them feel like you're trying to take the place of their mom.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a little hard with the girls in the beginning. His son, easy peasy. The kids blended together. That wasn't a problem. Even now, if you didn't know that we were a blended family, you would think that they are literally all blood related because that's how they act. That's my son is their brother. They are my son's sister and brother. So there is no issue with that at all. It was just the accepting that, hey, there's a new woman in my dad's life, because for them, they're the primary. Right. And they don't know how to separate that early on at that age. All they know is somebody's taking my dad away and it's a woman, and is she trying to take the place of my mother?
Okay. And so how did you, because that was actually one of the questions one of the ladies that sent in, she said that she has issues with the fact that, of course, girls are always a little bit tougher, that she was taking her father from her. And that, like you said, that she was trying to replace her mother when in all actuality it wasn't. So how did you, what advice would you give to her? Like, how did you guys kind of maneuver through that?
So it was tough. And if I can be very honest, I gave up at a point. There was a point where I gave up and I was just like, I can't do this. I'm tired of fighting with them. And they just don't want to let me in. And it's hard when you are trying so hard to make a relationship work and the other person will not, just for whatever reason, not let you in. So that's hard. And then it becomes wearing on your spirit because you start to feel like, well, dang, what am I doing wrong? I'm there for them. I'm always around. I help them out as much as I can. But what can I do different? And then you try different things, and then those different things don't work. So then you feel exhausted with your resources and you don't know how to push forward. So I did at some point through this journey give up for a little while. I was like, I'm done with this. I'm tired. This is too taxing. And then we became family who just existed when it came to me and the girls, rather. It was just like, oh, we all live in the same house and we're just going to make this work. And then another point hit me where it was like, I really don't want to live like this. Like, I don't want it to be this kind of relationship. So then I just tried to push a little harder and hopefully allow them to see that what they think I'm trying to do, I'm not. So we're in a much, much better place now, but it was a rough road for a little while. And my advice to her would be to just stay the course, as you do with anything. If they are as important to you as you say they are, never give up on them, because that's what they want to see.
Understandable. Signe, did you have any advice for that particular individual? Just for trying to not feel like they're replacing their mother.
You just have to make them comfortable, but don't make them so comfortable that they disrespect you. And let them know I'm here for you. The things that you do for them whenever they're in your presence is because you want to do it. 9 times out of 10, the dads aren't taking care of them when they're with you. You are. So you just have to make them feel safe and comfortable and able to talk to you. And for the most part, I didn't really have to go through a lot of that because we didn't all live in one household until they was grown with their own babies.
Right.
So, we were sharing back and forth, and that was the challenging part for us because they weren't in the home all the time with us.
So how did you?
Same here.
Go ahead, Lady Me. I'm sorry.
I said same here. We were doing split time, so they had certain days of the week that they were with us, and then certain days that they would go and be with their mom. Whereas the oldest was full time with both of us. So trying to manage, that split time, and then because he's always here, they felt sometimes every now and again that he kind of got away with a lot of things that he probably shouldn't have. And being honest, he probably did. So it was one of those things where you kind of got to reestablish those relationships with the children so that when they're gone, they understand that everybody's on the same page. But I'm sure they got away with stuff at their mom's house that they didn't get away with here.
Right.
Absolutely.
So how did you guys, another question that was asked, how did you deal with the balance of discipline as far as the children that aren't biologically yours on the onset of it? Because like Signe had mentioned earlier, as long as you're not disrespectful, we good. I'm not sure if you necessarily had disrespectful children. All of your children actually seem to be extremely well-mannered, and that's from both of you. But even what advice you would give as far as discipline, like how and if when were you able to be able to say, no, you're not doing that, or whatever the case may be, or you were wrong, or whatever type of correction needed to be given at the time?
Well, I've always, Gandhi and I've always communicated if they did something wrong, and I was a disciplinarian. Okay. He was
all the kids all together?
For them when they were with us.
Okay. Got
it. Because I was basically doing everything. He was daddy. And that wasn't a problem with that because I always wanted him to have a relationship with his children. Mm-hmm. And let me say this. The transition with us, there were still women, other moms in the picture that wanted to be in his life. So that's a whole different scenario when it comes to your children. And if your children are being poisoned somewhere else,
right,
and or being put in a position where they have to pick and choose, that makes it real hard.
Agreed.
So did I answer the question?
You did. You did.
It's complicated. It's complicated. It's hard to just really pinpoint one thing as far as discipline. But like I said, as long as you're respectful, we fine. So
pretty much just to make sure we are clear. So what you're saying is you and Ganzia communicated as far as the discipline was concerned, but more likely you were the one to enforce it.
Yeah, and I was always the bad guy.
Okay. Okay. Lady Mia.
So discipline wise, it's tough when you initially get into it with children because everybody disciplines their child differently.
Right.
And we probably should have talked about that in the beginning. But we never had a conversation about it until it came up. Mm-hmm. So I would say, I think we did a good job by the time it came up. I'm a spare the rod, spoil the child kind of person. And I think he is to an extent as well. So it's tough when you're dealing with, because both of us are like, well, listen, if they were disrespectful, do what you got to do. Whereas you bring in another dynamic of having two separate parents who are like, don't you put your hands on my child. Don't you jack my child up. Don't you correct them. If you have an issue, talk to their parent. And it's tough to do that when you're trying to establish a respect relationship between you and the child and have those boundaries so that the child doesn't feel like, oh, I can do whatever I want with you because you can't do anything to me.
Right.
Or you have to call my dad or you have to call my mom to punish me.
Right.
So we haven't had many instances where discipline was an issue. We were both on the same page. And then it just worked from there. And we talked about it. So one thing that you probably haven't touched on that I'm sure you will is being on the same page. So in that household, you both have to be on the same page because children will manipulate the both of you. So what we ran into is our children feeling like, oh, well, you told me I can't do something. I'm going to call my dad and ask my dad, or vice versa. So I'd say, hey, no, you can't do that because you didn't have the greatest day in school. He doesn't know that they've had a horrible day in school. They call him and ask him, and he's like, oh, yeah, go ahead and do it. It's cool.
Right.
Then I come in here and I'm like, wait a minute. What did I say? So we learned that very early to talk about stuff like that and to teach them that they can't manipulate us. To teach them that if I tell you to do something, that's what it is. Don't call your dad to ask him, or don't call me and ask me something different. So that was a tough balance in the beginning with trying to get them to that place of understanding.
Yeah, I think communication, it seems to be the general theme of what you guys are sharing. As long as communication is made, then it's easier. One thing that my parents never did was fight in front of me. They never argued or disagreed. Now, I knew they ain't like each other. Don't get me wrong. But they never really disagreed in front of me. And I think that helped because I really wasn't given an opportunity to play on because I was under the assumption that they were all on the same page. But sometimes when parents do argue in front of children, it's like, oh, they beefing. So let me be like, mom told me no, can you? And kids, they some sneaky. Ooh, Ouija. They snatch their lips off their face. Like, I told you no. But I'm sorry, I had my PTSD just kicked in. It's all right. But yeah, it is important that everybody just communicates. And one of the things that one of you has said that I just want to emphasize is the fact that I think it was you, Lady Mia, that said that a lot of people were like, you can't discipline my child, you can't tell my child what to do, blah, blah, blah. I think that is a result of our village crashing. Because when we were growing up, when I was growing up, even though I'm only 22, but when I was growing up, I didn't have an opportunity to be like, you can't hit me. My mother said, because by the time I had got down the street to get home, everybody on the block.
Exactly.
Miss Ty had got me. Miss Tessie had got me. By the time I had got all the way home, I really didn't need another butt whooping, but I got one anyway. But I think that's one of the downfalls of our community is that we've completely taken away the village, and then we want to reach for help when the children grow up to be something that we don't necessarily want them to be. When they get thrown into the system, or when they get trouble in school or have issues with grades, then it's like, oh, you need to come and you need to help them. But it's important that the village communicates.
Absolutely.
All on the same page.
That's right.
Parents, grandparents, aunties, godmothers, because it's vital, and it's definitely something that I hear you guys are saying makes the world of difference. Pastor P.
Once we became a team, it became different.
Right.
Absolutely. It's like you say, it's a unit. We have to work together. But we also have to realize that the generation that we have now is not the generation back then.
No, they're drinking some other type of water.
I don't know what kind of
they're not drinking these juice boxes.
Them juice boxes might be the problem.
Oh, these good. This ain't it.
It's just a different right now. Teach your children, period, what need, basic human emotions, manners. You don't have to say yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, but I'm saying, communicate to them what's expected of you in the world. Agreed. Because if you don't, the world's going to teach them. And they're not going to respond the way that they should. They might know everything, but you don't know everything.
Right.
And you have to understand.
So something that you said, Jaleesa.
Go ahead, babe.
Something that you said when you were talking about your parents arguing in front of you.
Oh,
I
Lord.
disagree a little bit. And here's why.
I'm open.
So we don't have the big knockdown arguments in front of them, but we do have healthy disagreements in front of them. And the reason for that is so that they understand that relationships aren't always what they seem. So
Absolutely.
because I think with when my generation growing up, we saw all of this happiness and nothing ever happens to them. But that's not true. Relationships do go through tough times. So
Absolutely.
we allow them, to see us argue over, small stuff, and then we'll laugh at the end, but showing them that you can have a disagreement with your spouse and then move on. So for example, we were in here arguing over Pam one day, literally the spray Pam. And our kids were just looking back and forth like, are y'all kidding me?
Oh no.
But then of course, after we were done, we laughed it off. The kids laughed it off. And it ended up being good for them because they're able to see, hey, this sounded dumb. We were really arguing over it. But it could come back to a healthy place.
Right.
So I think you have to have the even balance of being able to see your parents in both settings.
Agreed. I can agree with that. Because it teaches them how to disagree and recover.
Yes.
Go ahead, Sister Signe.
You're right, Sister May. Look, let me tell you, with my youngest, our baby, that's the only one that we have together. And when she got married, she said, "This is not the life my parents had."
Mm-hmm.
We didn't allow her to see us argue or see us in what we were going through. We didn't make them privy to that. And she said later on, she said, "Y'all really did this?" And you're right. That's all. You're right, Lady Mia.
That makes sense.
I'm sorry that I didn't do that, but I'm glad I did. Because the way that our generation goes at each other now, none of my children would make it because they literally have all of us in them, and that's not a good mix. So I'm glad that that's not good. I'm just being honest. And that's a problem too, because we have the one together, and the only one that we have together is the only one that has been with us continuously. And there's a lot of they feel slighted for that as well. But it's balance. And we just have to. It's just all like this, but we good. And I'm just grateful we have survived it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I agree.
Continuing with this conversation, another question that was asked, and it's crazy how these questions are just flowing in with our conversation, but we talked about how, it's not either one of your jobs or intentions to replace anybody's parent at all. So how did you define your role with your children?
Oh, that's a good one.
Since we're not replacing, then how did you paint the picture? How did you define this is who I am to you? Or even if it doesn't have to be like legitimately like that sentence or whatever, but how did you define your role in your kids' lives?
So I think the first thing that you have to do is not make it a friendship. Because when you try too hard and you're too nice, that's where you lose that respect boundary. So I came from the side where I was too mean. When we all got together, and that was the biggest complaint, is they would be like, "She's so mean. Why is she so mean?" So I went a little too hard with trying to establish that I am the woman of this house. I'm not trying to take your mother's place, but I am the woman of this house, and I need for you to respect that. So once they became vocal enough to tell me that that's how they felt, and I look back at the period that they were talking about, and I'm like, well, I guess I was a little too hard on them. I started to pull back just a little bit. As I started to pull back, things started to change with our relationship with them. So it's not she's so mean anymore. Now it's like, oh, well, she'll talk to me. Because before, I think I parented them the exact same way that I parented my own child, which is not necessarily what they needed.
Right.
So as parents, what we have to understand is that each child is different and they need something different. So they didn't need me fussing at them the way that I had to fuss at my own child, because they needed something different. Their personality is different. Their spirit is different. So what they need for you to feed them is completely different. And then learning what that is for each child and being able to give each of them individually what they need.
That makes sense.
And that means that we have to that's growth on our part, because, we don't have a manual of how to do things. But we, like you said, we have to see each one as a different person, feelings and all of that stuff. And a lot of times when we feel slighted or we being disrespected, it's not really disrespect. That's, like we have our guards up, so do they.
Right.
They're still human. And I'm like Lady Mia. I was, I'm the lady of this house. I had my one tell me, you always say my house. Well, it is my house. And today she can't tell me. She has her own house and how she run her house. This is my house, and she has a blended family as well. So, I mean, we can be hard, but don't be harsh. We can say, let them know, because, daddy ain't said nothing, so it's okay. This is my house.
So with the word my, I had to change. I had to change the word my
to ours.
I had to change it from my to ours, because me saying my was offensive. And here's why. So you have to be very careful with how you address them, especially when they are young, because they hang on to words. Words mean a lot to them. Words mean a lot to me too as an adult. So I didn't realize that me continuing to say this is my house or this is my particular thing, that it was offensive to them, because what it was telling them is they weren't a part of it.
Exactly.
You were excluding them from it.
Exactly.
So I had to learn to say our house as opposed to my house, especially because we were a blended family. Now, in a normal family, you can say this is my house. They know it's theirs. Both parents are in the same household, or it's just a single parent household. So they know, hey, this is my house. This is where I live. But to a blended family, those words are like daggers to them. And so what it became is I was selfish, and especially if they are moving into your space, and your space was established before they got there. So mine are huge daggers to children when you're moving them into your space. You have to make them feel as comfortable as possible, because anything else, what they hear is this does not belong to them, and they are not welcome.
And they don't belong.
Okay, now my only thing to that is at their age, yours moved in when they were younger. Mine were grown.
Yes.
Okay, and you come in with your family. This is my house that I opened up to you. And
on that level, yes, I totally agree.
Right. But other than that, I agree everything you said, and we have different, that's what I like about the conversation, because we're coming from two different sides somewhat, but on the same page. When they get older, and that's my experience, my oldest bonus child is 50 years old. And I'm only 57. Okay.
Sheesh.
So, and he's a male, and we had no problem. He was barely around. So, I mean, the age difference really makes a difference, and the example that we show them, and no matter how hard it is, if we lived our life with our children was good. We were good. They went to church, they went to school. But when the other children finally got blended in, because it wasn't always something that they did, it was like my kids started to question things. They started to question things. And I had to find a balance. Grown people always, mothers influence their children, period. So how they act and how you respond takes a lot of thought. And like we said in the beginning, the conversation was never had, how are we going to blend this family?
Right.
You know, I loved him, he loved me, and we just move forward. So later on down the line, you have to, like find your way. So, I mean, it ain't over yet. You know,
I get that. I definitely.
It ain't over yet.
I'm gonna just say this piece and we can go to the next, because that my thing really just, I don't know, something about it that just, I don't know, it ruffles my even grown.
It does.
It makes me feel not included. Even grown. My grandfather has never said it. Like, it don't matter who comes to the house, and we're all grown. We could come to the house and we are a blended family on both sides, and he's never ever said this is my house. Because when you give so much possession to something, you're pretty much saying this is mine, not yours, you don't belong. And just as hurtful as it can be for children, you got to understand that some adults not all the way together. Like me, I'm still in therapy, so like it reminds me I'm not included. So even grown, I just feel like if you're welcoming me into your home, then welcome me into your home. And you got to be careful with children and adults, because there are some adults that are still children, that are still the 9-year-old girl or the 9-year-old little boy, and they 40 something or they 50 something or they 60 something. So that just goes back to just communication and knowing how to just talk to people. But yeah, that's neither here nor there. Another question that was given, we have 2 more, and then we'll be done for the day. Did either of you have an example or guide to how to blend your family?
Say that again.
Did either of you have an example or a guide as to how to blend your family? Or was it just kind of like well, of course it was on-the-job training, but was there anybody that kind of helped you get through that?
No.
We definitely had to figure it out on our own and make our own rules. It's funny that you asked me to do this with you, because we've been talking about doing something just to talk to blended families to try to help them, because there is no guide, and most people, crazy enough to say, are terrified, or maybe not the word terrified, but just don't want to share their stories with how they got to a good place. And then the other side is a lot of people are still in rough places with blended families and are afraid to ask for help. So to me, this is a very, very important topic, because you are dealing with the lives of multiple people. And trauma is a real thing for people, and how we shape our young people is very important if we don't have those kinds of conversations, because what they see as family right now will be sadly indicative of what they are going to do or be with family as they get older.
Yep. Agreed. Sister Signe, you shaking your head and laughing. So I'm gonna go with no guide for 400, Alex, on your part.
No, I know you got that. We didn't have it. I mean, like, I'm old school, so I come from. We were together as a family. We sat down, we ate dinner together, we did all of that. However, this here, that was, totally my decision. So, it was hiccups along the way. We survived it. Nobody's bleeding.
Not
I
nobody
say
bleeding. I can't.
huh?
I said not nobody bleeding,
Yeah, but look, listen to, I mean, and not physically bleeding,
but internally.
but internally, because I mean, it's something
Internally, yeah.
we. This is not enough time to have an in-depth conversation
Agree.
about the blended family. I don't want to take up too much time, but you can't, and sometimes you have to be very, very specific and trying to, off the cuff answers sometimes aren't good. We are being as honest as possible.
Y'all have been very honest.
It's
me.
not, huh?
I say y'all are helping people. Y'all are helping me.
I mean, listen to, we are at a point where and I haven't even brought God into this picture. And this has also helped me that we as church family, we are a blended family.
We are.
We come from all different walks of life and this, that, and the other. So if we trying to live like Christ, and I haven't always lived my life like that, but once I've come to an understanding of that, that's how I have raised my children. All of them. That's what they've seen of me. So, I mean, that's where we are. I'm just grateful.
It's definitely a conversation that needs to continue to be had. The podcast just pretty much opens the door. And that's the purpose of why I do what I do. Because sometimes you just need to kick the door open a little bit. And you need to be able to see how many people actually need what you have to offer. And even though the journey for both of you weren't necessarily perfect, that doesn't mean that it can't be helpful to someone else. And it's a topic that honestly plagues our community, because you hear a lot of issues with, everybody can't go to the baseball games, or everybody can't go to the recitals, or everybody can't go to the sports events because she gonna be there and she gonna bring him, or whatever the case may be. And it's toxic for our kids. It's toxic for us. So it is important that these types of conversations happen. So one, it's not just you. And two, you can be given the tools of, well, this is what worked for me. What worked for me and my husband was we did X, Y, Z. We communicated. We had, good arguments in front of the children so that they knew how to recover. We sat down and we ate together as a family, because that's what family does. So it definitely is important that this conversation continues well beyond this point. For anybody, because with the comments, it's definitely something that folk like help. Like, I'm about to give up. I'm about to be like deuces. I'm out of this relationship. I don't care about your child, and it just is what it is. So it's important that we, show support to others and let them know, like, it's hard, it's difficult, but it's very doable. When people put their pride to the side, and when people choose to grow and look at themselves. Like Lady Mia said, like, I had to look at myself and was like, maybe I'm a little bit too harsh, and I gotta change the way that I approach each child, because each child is different and they're individuals.
So let me tell you what I did. Thanksgiving is for family. One of the things that I did establish, I opened up the dinner to my children's other parent.
Oh, wow. That's dope.
Because children are torn when it comes to holidays. Am I going to share it with mommy? I'm going to share it with daddy. So I invited everybody. And that's something I did for a couple of years. But once I did that, I fell back because I was letting you know, we all adult. The kids like to spend time with everybody. The door is open. I'm not going to chase you to come over here, but the door is open.
Right.
So that's what I did.
Right. That's maturity. That's definitely
Very
mature
much.
for all parties
So,
involved. For all parties involved.
I don't
even
think for us,
her.
we have all been around each other at the same time. Like, I think it's just been, well, one of the parents, which is my son's father, is not around much at all. They talk, he's in his life, that kind of thing, but he just doesn't come around us as much at all. But with their mom, we can be in the same place. We can do parties and proms together. Just to give you a little bit of perspective, the oldest she is 23. My son is 22. The girls are 17, and one is 15, getting ready to turn 16. And then our other son is 21. So, it's like they really grew up together age-wise too.
Right.
There aren't large gaps between them. So they were able to blend a little bit better because of those ages. And like I said, they have their own personalities, and learning each one of them is different. But when we're all around each other, lost my earbud. When we're all around,
we can't hear you.
on any issues, there's no arguing. We can be around each other, and it's fine. Now, that first year or two, woo, you might have caught us on the news.
And that's the one thing that happened. It was rough, but like I said, when I established the dinners, when we moved out of our house, I stopped doing the dinners. But my oldest bonus daughter and my daughter, they took on the responsibility of the holiday dinners. And they still hold them to today. COVID kind of messed it up. We was just chilling. We didn't do too much last year, but they still do it. I go and help them, if I have to. But they're hosting it. And when we all come together, it's just like a big old, it is. It's a big old turn up, period. And to have them all in the same room at one time, and it is cohesive and everybody's genuine. That's just an awesome feeling. We, like you said, we had rough roads and rocks and bumps and all that old kind of stuff, and there's still more to come, probably. But like you said, the ages.
You put it on my heart to think about doing something where everybody can be in the same room.
That's dope. Yeah.
It starts at the top.
I'm not opposed to it at all. I'm not opposed to it at all.
You open your heart, because we have to let the kids see that we are willing to reach out to. I'm not trying to take your mother's place. I'm your father's wife. Okay, the bonus mom, however you want to see me. And I had a problem at first because the other mothers wanted my children to be able to call them mom, but their kids couldn't call me mom.
The blood of Jesus.
And look, it bothered me for a while, but then I was like, wait a minute, they know who I am.
Right.
They know the difference. So I have to continue to be me. And it was a struggle, but I love them. I may not see them all. I appreciate that. I love you from a distance. And my first grandchild was not my natural grandchild, but that's the grandchild that taught me how to be the grandmother that I am.
That's what's up.
My heart. And she's 23 years old.
Oh, Lord.
And she can see me from up the block. I used to go get her every weekend.
Yeah.
And that's my gift. That's what I have to look forward to, is my grandchildren knowing who I was, because I wasn't there when my bonus children were small, but I've been there from the beginning of all their lives. So, I can talk to you now. I don't have to wait for your mother to call me. You can send me a Instagram message. It is what it is. And you have to think about all of that, because if you don't, you lose out, they lose out. And then what we have, a bigger mess.
Yeah. And the child needs as much of much of the largest village that they possibly can to be the most successful that they can. So I'm about to become a grandmother in November, and I'm sure that is where all of us will end up coming together as one. Mm-hmm. I'm positive that's where it will happen.
Mm-hmm. I think it's important. What we've heard today is, one, being communication, two, being completely honest and open to growth, but also just understanding that it's more pressure on the children to have to choose between the two. I know I struggle with it every Christmas, every Easter, everything. There was no court order in place, so it was my decision the way I wanted to go. And to have to pick and choose between two was probably some of the hardest decisions as a child that I've ever had to make. Because first of all, I wanted gifts from both houses. Let's be clear. I wanted my Christmas gifts from my mommy, and I wanted my Christmas gifts from my daddy. So I wanted to go to both houses because I like gifts. But even outside of that, like, it's just it's important that, that relationship is just completely blended. So that's growth. That's definitely growth. Our last question for the day: how have your bonus children made you better? How have your bonus children made you better? See, I like those faces. You know how y'all be like, send me the questions first, but that face right there, that's it for me. That's why I don't tell y'all what I'm gonna tell y'all. It was beautiful.
Woo. Oh, we're all still alive.
I can't. I cannot.
I mean, that's her quote.
That's her hashtag. We're all still alive. We're not
bleeding. Still alive. That's what we say. I mean, look, we can think spiritually, but we also have to be mindful of our flesh, and we have to be honest and upfront about our flesh. We all still a work in progress, and even after we've been married for 29 years. And all the kids have been there for the whole 29 years. We still alive. And y'all know how we act as women and how catty, when girls start doing their thing, they grown and had their own babies. You can't tell them nothing. And, so I start giving them the same energy they was giving me. Okay. Once they got grown. So they've given me peace. I can peacefully lay in my bed at night and say, I have given and gone over and beyond for all of them, even when I was slight myself. So I'm good.
Okay. Lady Mia, how have your bonus babies made you better?
So my bonus babies have made me better by helping me grow. They are very good. We have a vocal house because we want them as children to be able to speak up for themselves.
Absolutely.
And we've taught them to do that, not just in our own home, but outside of the home. So what they have done is, when they don't like something or they feel like you have wronged them in some kind of way, they tell you. So for me, what they have done for me is made me search the inner me so that I could be a better mom for them. They check me when I'm wrong, and it's okay to be wrong, and for your children to say, hey, you're wrong with that.
Absolutely.
But they helped me grow to be a better mom. I could not take that away from them. Each of them have made me better in my growth as being a mother.
That's beautiful. That is just very beautiful. I appreciate you guys' you ladies' candidness. I think this conversation was helpful to a lot of people. I think it definitely sparked something in both of you, just to take the blendedness to a whole nother level. And that's honestly I say all the time, the goal is to be whole, and that includes our families. Wholeness just isn't for the individual, but when my family's not whole, I got some missing pieces that I have to deal with.
Absolutely.
And I got to check, that I got to reevaluate. And I second what Pastor P is saying. You both are absolutely great mothers. That's why I picked you two. And like I shared with you all before we went live, I did not even know that either of you were blended. I had to text Lady Me on the side, like, don't get offended, but I just want to know, y'all blended? And she was like, I'm not offended, but yes, we are. And I was like, yes. Because one, I picked you initially because of the type of mothers that you are. And then the blended piece just made it even better. That was a bonus for me. Because I love the way that you all just love on your children equally. You ball your kids out equally. Everybody get what they get, and you know, it's cool. So I definitely do appreciate you for that. I do strongly recommend, Lady Mia, for you and Pastor Dane to keep this conversation going. I got a lot of folk to send in y'all's direction. I got a lot of folk in my house to send in y'all's direction. Just to make sure that we are growing together, that we are healing, and that we are being whole for the sake of the next generation. Because if we're dysfunctional, if we all broken up, tore up, and tied, that doesn't really create a good foundation for them to stand on.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it's unfair for them to have to create their own foundation. Right. I always get sad when I hear people say, you know, well, I did this because my mother and father wasn't much, so I knew I had to do something different. But it's beautiful when you can build on what your parents have established, right, wrong, and different, whether they get along or not. I stand on the foundation of both of my parents being able to just grow and look at yourself and do all that good stuff. So I appreciate you both. I hope to see you both at the gathering.
Already in the house.
It is definitely one of the topics of discussion. Family is a key. When the family unit is a war zone, it creates a bad downfall for everything else. When my family,
a ripple effect. Yep.
Yes,
you're right.
Yeah, and you can't really say that, you know, I'm whole, I'm good, I'm together, and then your house is on fire.
And then we also have to understand that everybody does not think like me.
Yep. Agreed.
That's the inner thing.
Yep.
You know, and we can't expect them to respond like I do. So
we will definitely have this conversation again. We are approaching, and on August the 15th, it'll be a year since I kicked off the podcast. So I wanted to make sure I had a full year of different people initially. But I am going to bring my favorite topics back to definitely dive in again, hoping that at that point we can bring in both of y'all's husbands and we can just rock this out together, because I do know that they have a different perspective as well.
Absolutely.
They had a different role as well, and both of them are completely different, just like the two of you are, because when you all blended, the children were different ages. So I think that would be an awesome conversation to have, just to make sure that our families are getting what they need to get and being whole.
Yeah.
So as I always say, if you need more than just the podcast to help you through stuff, therapy always works. I encourage every viewer to go to therapy. Therapy makes a world of difference.
I laid on the couch too.
And if whole is the goal.
Yes, whole is the goal.
Whole is the goal.
Absolutely.
If someone on this podcast, if you are watching now or watch the replay, if you would like to reach out, you are more than welcome to inbox me. I'm very transparent and will help anybody that I possibly can, because the goal is to be whole.
Yep.
So,
and I'm going to say,
I'm available if you need me.
I'm going to say the very same thing. You know, we're here. And thank you, Jaleesa, for inviting us to this podcast, because there's been years I wanted to tell my story or help somebody. And this is a great start and a great place to start. So keep doing what you do. Let us know when you want us to come back.
Keep up the great work, Teresa. Thank you so much for having me.
And you know both our husbands like to talk.
Yes, but I love both of y'all's husbands, so we're not doing that. We're not doing that. They my ace point. We're not doing that. But we're gonna say a quick prayer, and then I'm gonna let everybody go. Thank you to everyone who has chimed in with us, who's commented, who's added to the conversation. I'm definitely appreciative of that. And as both of the ladies, their both doors are always open. They're really cool, down to earth people. You know, I don't get no stuck up snobby folk, and if I do, I don't bring them back. That's for sure. If this is as real as it's gonna get, we want to be whole. We have to be whole. That was God's intention for us. He does not want us to be miserable, to be divided, to be beefing, to be having baby mama, baby daddy, bonus mama drama. We want to be whole. So we're going to close out in prayer, and then I'm going to find me something to eat. How about that? Oh,
me too.
Boom.
Yeah, that part. God, we thank you so much for the day that you have given to us, and all of it. Struggle and all of its heaviness, God, you still have managed to allow your presence, allow your glory, allow your purpose to be shown and to be brought forth. God, I pray for each and every viewer, whether they're watching live or whether they're watching the replay. God, I pray that you would just come in the midst of our homes, that we would be open to you coming into the midst of our homes to heal our hearts, to just remind us of the love that you have given to us and the love that we have for one another. We pray against any evil thought, any plan or tactic of the enemy that is trying to completely devour our family unit. And we beat back the hand of the enemy with the blood of Jesus applied, declaring and decreeing that our family will be for you, our family will live for you, our family will always be the family that will give you and bring you all the glory. Allow our goal to be whole. Allow that to be at the forefront of our mind, that everything that we say out of our mouth, if it does not have the purpose of wholeness, if it does not have the purpose to lift our brother, our sister, our daughter, our cousin, uncle, or grandfather, that you would just allow us to just shut our mouths on up and to speak love to one another, to speak what will empower the other person, to speak what will help us as a family grow as a unit. We thank you for Sister Signy and for Lady Mia. We thank you for their openness. God, I pray that you would pour back into them everything that they have poured. I pray, Lord, that you would create a space in this earth for them to be able to tell their stories so that other people can be blessed by their testimony, their experience, and their lives. Thank you so much. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Love y'all.
Amen.
Love y'all. Nice to
love you too. Thank you so much for having me.
Bye-bye, guys.
Bye-bye.